So you want to play Ark, I hear. So you want to have this super awesome looking armor, run around slaying dragons using your super awesome curved sword, flying through the everything using a tech suit and doing all of the cool endgame stuff. But I'm gonna have to stop you before you get there because there's a lot that you have to do in order to accomplish that. And this is probably one of the best games in the world because it can be a game that you do whatever you want with. In this video, I'm going to explain everything in Ark, starting from ground to the end game. I'm going to skip a lot of advanced techniques, but this is just the basics so you can completely understand Ark as a whole, how to play it, and at least get started in the game. But before we do that, we have to go ahead and create a new character because there's no point in getting to end game unless you actually try to get there the hard way. So if you don't mind, smash that like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm, and then consider subbing to the channel. I'm super close to 100K, and that's been my dream all along. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead, and before you even click on this screen right here, you are going to figure out whether you want to play PvE, PvP, unofficial, or solo play. Now, solo play is self-explanatory. It means you are on your own island by yourself with no one that's able to play with you. PvP means that you're going to be able to player versus player, so anyone can kill anyone at any point in time and steal everything they have and wipe anything and destroy. Now, that can be a little bit more hardcore and you need a lot of time in the day to accomplish those. You've got PvE servers where all players are on one giant team, kind of, against just the environment. You don't have to be in the same tribe, but you can't attack each other. And then there's unofficial, where all kinds of rules in different areas exist in different ways and different combinations. Now, that is just the beginning. But before we get any further, let's go ahead and create ourselves a survivor. When you're creating them, you can make a hilarious looking creature, if you want to think of it that way. You can make something that's 9 million feet tall. You can customize your character however you want. I will suggest that if you plan on playing in a PvP server, you make a very small character because it's harder to shoot them, because your hitbox is reflected by the character that you build. Now, if you want to save your character for future loadouts, you can click the save option and it'll allow you to actually save what you want and create a preset. So that way in the future, you can click a load option and load it in really quickly. Now that's all for character creation, self-explanatory. Once you get past your character creation, you are brought into this next screen where you have the option to click zones in order to spawn in them. The different colors represent how difficult it is to survive in that zone. I would try and stick to the green zones when you first start so you can learn how to play Ark. Yellow zones are the next tier, and then red zone are the hardest zones to survive in all of Ark. So what I would encourage you to do, pick the middle one. Usually the middle one is the safest. And once you spawn in, you are going to spawn in on the map at level 1, knowing nothing. Your character has no experience, and you've just been dropped off on this island of justice. Now, if you look around, you're going to notice the palm trees swaying, you're going to notice the water moving, the rain falling, and your character is naked and afraid on a beach. Now, once you spawn in, you can see that there are some pretty cool things, like you can run in the water, you can do some of the Baywatch running, you can go over and you can pick up stones if you want to, you can pick up bushes, you can do whatever you feel like doing. That's the benefit of Ark. You can kind of hang out and just pick things up. Now, if you want to go a little bit more advanced than just being a harvester for the rest of your Ark career, you've kind of got to start to learn to progress in the game. So instead of just picking things up on the beach, what I encourage you to do is go ahead and hit I, or inventory, and then you're going to go into your engram points. Now, this is the option over here, and this is a pretty good guideline that you are going to see in order to level your character. This is basically going to teach you everything you need to know about the entirety of Ark, starting from level 1, going up to level 105, and then into tech engrams. You can see that these are tech engrams. Those are unlocked after beating bosses. But once you hit level 100, you've actually hit the highest level you can reach in the game without going additional. And each one of these tiers will unlock a new thing that will let you survive easier inside of Ark itself. However, starting at level 1, you only get a torch, a stone pick, and a note. Hovering over each of these items will tell you what they do, and they will also tell you how to make them and what you need. You can see that I need 1 stone, 1 wood, and 10 thatch in order to make a stone pick, or I need 1 flint, 1 wood, and a stone in order to make a torch. So it's a pretty good generic progression guideline that you want to unlock as many things as you can as you level up. Now, because the things at the lower levels are much cheaper, it's easier to justify spending all of your points just clicking on these things in order to unlock them so you can make them. Now, that is how you progress inside of Ark. Basically, you are going to go from nothing and naked and afraid to the tech tier that you saw me go to when we started this video. However, that's not even the cool thing about Ark, right? You are on a game in which you can quite literally do whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and jump up in the air so you can see that this map is enormous. It goes, if you were to start on one side of this map and go to the other side of the map, it would quite literally take you about an hour of real life time running, assuming you don't die before you get to the other side from all the dinosaurs that want to kill you. So, now that we've gotten past how to progress your character, what to pick up and what to expect once you get onto Ark, you will also inevitably run into a large number of dinosaurs as you enter the Ark. Now, the further you get from the beach, the more you're going to find, because that is just how it works. The easier to kill dinos are going to be on the beach, like your dodos and your easy like triceratops and things along those lines. But the longer you spend going inland, the further and more complex this game gets. You're going to notice that it gets darker. It gets much more difficult to see because you've got different terrains and you've got all kinds of things that are affecting you. However, it ends up being super cool because these different terrains are useful for all of the different types of dinos that you can see on this server. Now, when I say server, I mean this is what you're playing on, whether it's playing on official settings, whether it's playing on unofficial settings, or anything, you are inevitably going to run into a dinosaur. And when you do, for example, you can see that I've run into some giant flies, and I've also run into a Spinosaurus. I'm going to give you a hint. If it looks like it wants to kill you, don't go near it unless you're ready to go near it. Because the point of this game is to find dinosaurs, tame them, and reach end game. Now, you've gotten past character creation, we've done everything, we've talked about what exists. You can actually, however, tame every single dinosaur inside of this game in order to be useful to you. Now, they all have lots of really cool features and they do lots of really awesome things. I'm going to go ahead and force tame this guy so I can show you exactly what I mean by that. They all have really neat stuff that they can do. Now, force tame. So you can see that I've got a Spinosaur that I've tamed now, and I can ride around on the actual dinosaur. Now, it is not as easy as just clicking force tame, unfortunately. You have to actually complete different things and different tasks in order to actually tame a dinosaur. Some dinosaurs you have to knock out by using a club, a bow with trank arrows, or a crossbow with trank arrows, and then you feed them the meat that they like, whether that's the actual meat, berries, or kibble. Now, these are all late game things. However, you can see that this Spino, because hint, he looks like he wants to eat meat because he's got sharp teeth, he eats meat. So you can quite literally knock any tame out and tame them by literally just shoving meat or whatever they like inside of their inventory. So now we know we can tame dinos, we have a character progression, we have all those other things. It gets really difficult to play this game really quickly. However, I encourage you to play the game the way you want to, because you playing the game you want to allows you to play and do things how you feel like doing them. Don't listen to someone else's experience, because if you listen to someone else's experience, you're just going to end up playing the game the way they want to and not what you really want to do. If you want to sit on a beach, build a small hut and have a Spino and that's all you want, that sounds awesome, man. Do that. But if you want to have a mega base with 9 million hours and all these kinds of things in Ark, go do that. So there's another thing that you can add into this game that will change your life. It's called mods. If you go back into the generic Ark screen, you will be able to click something called mods list, and that mods list will give you different type of mods that you can literally modify your Ark with in order to make your experience more pleasant. Now, you can also make it more difficult using mods if you like to kind of change it up, but you can add things like dino balls, which will allow you to pick up your dinos and move them wherever you want. You can add in whatever if you want to make your character look like an anime god or goddess, you can do that as well. Mods allow you to create a game and a feature how you want to play, and there are already thousands of mods to add. Now, I'm not going to show you them all because some are quality of life features and some are not, but that's just the generic covering of what a mod is. Now, The next thing you have to decide, yes, as of right now, the only map that currently exists is the island. You can see that I am Teach, I am on level 1, Tribe of Teach, and I am on an island, or the map called the island. If I hover over it, this is what I'm on. There are going to be over 13, 14 different maps, including mod maps in the future, so you don't have to just play one map. Every single map that you play is going to give you a new experience with new dinos, new creatures, and new strategies. So I encourage you to play all of the maps and learn how to play each one because they are so unique. And every time you play a game, it is going to give you a new experience. And that is a very valuable thing if you're someone like me that likes to play a lot of single player games and learn and figure out solutions to things that aren't necessarily the easiest thing in the world to figure out, because they can be a lot of fun. Now, some of my strategies that I'm going to encourage you to do is once you figure out something that works for you inside of Ark, go ahead and start doing that because you play the game as you want to. If someone's telling you that this is how you have to do something and this is what you need to do, don't necessarily listen to them. You can always give them the opinion and be like, okay, cool, that's a neat idea, but you do not have to play the game they play. So we've talked about mods, maps that you want to play. Now, the next thing that I want you to focus on is we've got all kinds of stuff inside of Ark. There are different zones. Each zone has a unique feature, a unique set of dinos, and everything. So there are beach zones, pretty self-explanatory, that you can spawn in on a beach, and these are like the literal touching the water zones. The closer to the beach you get, the easier it is to play the game because dinos are much smaller. There is nothing that's really going to try and kill you that's just going to absolutely slaughter you outside of raptors early, and it's a very friendly area to be on the beach. The further you go inland, you're going to end up in the forests and the jungles. In the forests and jungles, dinosaurs start getting a little bit larger and you get some more rare resources. You can start accessing crystal and you can start accessing metal in small quantities. Now, the further I go inland, the more complex my variety of stuff gets. I start ending up in swamplands, which are very dangerous. You start ending up in redwood forests, which are also very dangerous. And you also end up near mountains, where you can start to find some of your largest creatures in Ark, ranging from the Giganotosaurus to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, you can also see there's magma and all kinds of valuable stuff in there. I can see a very large Giganotosaurus down there. And in general, this is the area where you want to have the ability to access endgame because there are lots of resources the further you go into the center of your map. You can see that as I move around on my map right here, it is different in the zones and they're colored differently. The white zone is the snow zone. It's going to be very difficult to survive there because it's cold, so you have to adapt to that. Same thing with the redwoods because the creatures can be a little bit terrifying. Every zone is different, but the one thing that people get strung up on in this game for some reason is that dying is not okay inside of this game. It is perfectly acceptable. It is one of the few games where I encourage you to die in about 12 million thousand different ways, because as you're going through, each time you're learning something, you are going to lose things. You're going to lose tames. You're going to lose your mind sometimes because you get something called ARKed, where you may have something random shenanigansy just happen to you. And it sucks. But I tell you what, every single time it happens, you learn a little bit more about this game and you start to enjoy it and appreciate how complex it can be at the same time. Now, once you've gotten all of the basics that I've just talked about, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to learn to build a base. Now, a base can be accessed by going into your inventory or into your engrams and learning the different types of things. So you can place floors, you can build mega structures that are hundreds of foundations, floors wide, and hundreds of walls tall. I've seen people build castles. I've seen everything get constructed, and you can build wherever, however you want in the way that you want to. On a PvP server, people tend to build smaller because you want to be more out of the way. Whereas a PvE server, build to your heart's content because you want to make everything you can, however you can make it. Now, base building can be a lot of fun. And once you build a base, you actually have the ability to start placing structures down inside your base. Anything from smithies, which allow you to actually make metal tools, to having access to industrial grade equipment, which is a little more obviously modern, industrial forges. You can see that if I turn this on right here, I will have a giant forge, and this is going to allow me to smelt metal. And each one of these things that you build inside of your base is going to give you access to a new tier of technology. And the higher technology that you can get access to, the better off you are inside of the game. So building a base is one of the most important things that you can do because it will give you access to upgrading yourself, which means you're going to get more armor, more weapons, and the ability to hold more dinos inside of a base than you would if you were just a nomadic person out on your feet. Now, once you get this done, you can actually start accessing some of the more complex parts of this game, which ranges from actually breeding dinosaurs. So if you have a male and a female of the same species, you can actually breed them. And then you will find how powerful it is to actually breed your dinosaurs because you can do something called imprinting on your dinosaurs, giving them a 20% stat bonus. So actually pretty valuable in the long run to be able to start breeding dinos. Once you have a base, you can start also accessing the more complex features of the game, like doing something called drop and cave runs, where you find these large floating pillar structures that fall from the sky, and you go up into their inventory like you see right here, and you access it and take what you want. Now, these drops will have different colors associated with them, and you have to be the right character level in order to open them. You can see I am not level 15, so I cannot open this drop yet. However, if I was to find a white drop out there, I would be able to open a white drop because white drops are level 3. Level 3, 15, 25, 35, 45, 55, and 65 are the drop types that you can open. So now that is how you get some really cool stuff, because they will have special stuff inside of them, and it'll allow you to pick those up and access those in your inventory. You can see that if I look around the map in my what's called God mode, I can see that there are a whole bunch of these drops all over the place. So you could just get a really fast flyer like a Pteranodon and just move around the map and pick those drops up. Those drops will help you progress towards what's called the end game as well. Now, once you get these drops and stuff run like that, you start to realize that you get different colored loots out of them. I'm going to go ahead and add experience to my character, add experience. And then once you add your experience, I'm just going to go ahead and show you, you will level up. Now, as I level up, I can level into whatever categories I want, right? You have to play the game that you want to. I would encourage you to focus on 4 different points though. Fortitude is useful for surviving cold temperatures. Weight is going to allow you to carry a lot more. Health is going to allow you to survive situations that you would not have been able to survive beforehand. And a little bit of points into stamina goes a long, long ways. But once you've leveled, you're like, okay, my lowest level stuff that I can make in my inventory is not very good. How do I actually get better stuffs? In order to get better stuffs, you have to go around the map like I talked about in those drops and find them randomly around. You can see that one's falling from the sky. And then you will get certain tiers, upgraded equipment of better value than you can make. Or you might get blueprints for things that you do not have access to make. And these things are going to make your game much better. So if I look in my inventory right now, for example, I can make a pick, right? Pick. I'm going to go with a pick. This one has 100% damage and it has a durability of 40. That's how long it's going to last. You can get higher levels of that, starting with Ramshackle, then Journeyman, Apprentice, Journeyman, Mastercraft, and Ascendant. And each of those will have a higher damage percentage and higher durability than the last. Ascendant being the highest, which means you can get some really powerful stuff to make your Ark game much better. So that is how you actually get end game as well, because you want to have better armors, better weapons, better everything in order to access some of the more complex zones of this game. For example, you can see that I'm freezing right now, right? If I was to have some fur armor, hint, there is pretty much every area you go on this map, there is something to counteract what you're experiencing. So if I was to put on some fur armor, instead of being an ice cube, I am now just cold, which allows me to survive here without much of a problem. And if I was to go to a hot zone, I could put on ghillie armor, which is meant to help you survive the heat. Now, once you get past all of this, we've got situational armor, we've got everything. We've talked about a massive amount of stuff. If you then go into the more complex zones of Ark, you're starting to enter what's called the water zone. Now, inside of Ark, we haven't really even gone into it yet, but inside of the oceans, there is a ridiculous amount of stuff that'll kill you, and it's very difficult to actually see in the ocean. So it's something that can be a lot of fun for some people that like the experience of feeling terrified. But for those of you that don't like being terrified, it is thousands of feet deep. And some of the dinos that roll around in the ocean are insane. You have giant squids, you have all kinds of stuff, and you have massive caves that you can go inside of and loot caves in order to access even better loot than you can get on the surface. So once you start hitting bases, loot caves, all these kinds of things, what's the end game, right? What's the reason you're still playing this game? The point of this game is to actually access what is called boss fights. Now, boss fights can be accessed through any drop inside of Ark, or you can go to the obelisks, and the obelisks are the giant things that are floating in the sky. You can see 3 of them on every map: blue, green, and red obelisks. I'll go to this one just so you can see what it looks like. And once you get to it, you'll be able to open the obelisk up. Go ahead and show you what it looks like. And you will be able to create a summoner, depending on what you put inside of it, or the actual portal. You'll portal you somewhere else to the entire, like, other than the island itself, and you will fight a boss. Now, you will need some very good stuff in order to fight these things. I'm not going to show you what they look like, because that would be ruining the surprise the first time you fight them. But in general, you want to basically earn as much as you can. You can see that just like I can make stuff in my inventory, I can make these portals and using all those ingredients below. And you want to go fight those bosses. Once you fight those bosses, you earn something called tech. Tech is the end game of Ark. You can see it right here. Those cool chest piece, leggings, gauntlets, helmet, boots, everything. All of this end game stuff is unlocked by beating the bosses of Ark. These bosses are incredibly difficult, but they will give you rewards that you will never even dream about when you first got into this game. Now, at this point, you've probably, or if you've gotten up to tech, you can now teach just about anybody how you play this game in order to learn some secrets. Now, they will also teach you ways that they do things, and that's the awesome part of Ark. I haven't even talked about the best part of Ark, and that is the community. For the most part, 10% of the people on this game suck, I'll just be honest with you. But most of the players that you are going to run into are going to be genuinely awesome people that will actually help you out from all over the world. You have players playing from Brazil, the United States, France, Africa, Asia, Europe, any of the Americas. It's crazy. There is no great equalizer like Ark, because it's a game that you log into and you can just play for fun anywhere in the entire world, right? And that's the best part of it. The best part isn't the actual game you're experiencing, it's the people that you meet and experience the game with, and the people that you can actually create friendships with in a virtual game is so much fun. So, it's a game that I highly encourage you to try. Yes, some people will complain about it because there are things they don't like about it. It is definitely a grind. This is not like your Call of Duty or Fortnites where you log in for 30 minutes and then you hop off and you're good to go. This is a game that's going to take you time to learn. It's going to take you time to grind, but at the end of it, the end result feels so cool, and you almost want to start anew on a regular basis. So it is a great game that you should definitely check out. And if you want, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think, and I will do my best to help you out. Anyways, hopefully this video helps you out, teach you everything you need to know about the basic setup of Ark. And yeah, that's kind of what we tried to do. So hopefully it helps. Teach.